we talked about showing you, hey, maybe, you have a data lake, you have your own rule sets already set up somewhere. You want to do your own processing. And so you want a copy in real time of the event logs, right? Like this, like the JSON that I've kind of been showing. So what you really want is called an output in LimaCharlie land. It's really straightforward. So you're saying, I want to send my LimaCharlie data somewhere else. It's not a like Uber super premium, double secret pricing feature. It's just built in. And here's the basic format of it. So I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to kind of keep it like straightforward, archival. Is, maybe really what I want is, I don't actually want to operationalize those rules in some other system like right now. I totally could, but often you don't want. Maybe you're good enough with the alerting that LimaCharlie does. However, maybe you want to say, you know what? If something does happen, I want to have all my Windows events somewhere where I can access them in like a split second and just load them into some other system. We have the APIs, and you saw the historical view if you want to go and click and or programmatically through the SDK access your data. But sometimes there's nothing like a text file with JSON records in it. So this is what it's for. So archival is what I'm going to call it, and the module that I want to use. So we supported a bunch of different technologies. For reliability in general advice would be to either do GCS, which is Google Cloud Storage, or S3, right? So it's AWS, Amazon, or Google Cloud. They're roughly very similar services, just raw bulk upload of data. And the reason that I'd recommend that is that they are extremely highly available services. So if that goes down, like stuff is really going bad. They are very highly available. They'll scale. It doesn't matter. You have a tenant with one tenant, that's fine. It'll cost you next to nothing. You have an org with 50,000 tenants in LimaCharlie, no problem. You don't have to ever worry or think about it. It'll go. The other advantage is that it's batch-based, meaning we're going to collect those events for a small time window and then upload that as a single file. And that makes it easier for retry. So if somehow, the internet gremlins occur and a batch can't go through, it'll get retried a few times. So again, increase reliability. Whereas if you're using something like syslog over TCP, sometimes internet gremlins, things go, down, your connection goes down, or, you get 50,000 endpoints into your tenant, and it's your first big tenant, and it turns out that the virtual machine, that you have somewhere that's waiting for the syslog connection can't cope with it. Well, now you're going to start dropping data. So if you're going through S3 or GCS, it's a great staging ground. The other useful one that you could do is webhook bulk, which is very, very similar to uploading to S3 or GCS. The difference is that you're going to be uploading to a webhook, so over HTTP somewhere. That makes it really easy to set up a cloud function or a Lambda, again, GCS or S3, AWS, I should say. And the idea is that those allow you to create, a Lambda or a cloud function, and those also scale extremely well, but they're actual code. So it's also a great way of staging, how you want to ingest the data from LimaCharlie without having to come back in LimaCharlie and say, okay, I want to tweak this and that. All your data makes it to a cloud function that you control somewhere that, it'll scale. And then from that cloud function, you can have all the logic you want, maybe some specific events you want to treat in a different way, or you want to massage them, how, the format, all that stuff. It's kind of a great way to do that. So in this case, if I say, GCS, I come in, and I say the event stream. So there's multiple things that you can output in LimaCharlie. So events is kind of all the raw telemetry that you get. Detections is alerts that you generate through LimaCharlie. So that's a good way to get alerts to other systems. Audit is all things, audit logs about LimaCharlie, a user got added to my tenant, all these kinds of things. Deployment is meta information about your tenant. So for example, a new sensor enrolled. It itself is not new telemetry, but we create a specific event that looks like a LimaCharlie event that goes into that stream. So you can create automations. Maybe you want to have a cloud function that does stuff anytime a new sensor enrolls into your organization. So you can easily set up like that pipe there. An artifact is a stream of the information about the artifacts coming in. The artifact itself is not going to be included in that stream because we ingest full memory dumps. We're not going to kind of start not randomly, but blindly publishing, 16 gigabyte files over like a webhook. But what we'll do is that we'll put all the metadata about it in that stream. So you can have a system that listens for those, and you get the basic info on that artifact. And then your system might say, oh, I actually do want that artifact. I'm going to use the API in LimaCharlie, super simple API, and go say, hey, give me that artifact, export it to me. And then you can download it, grab it. So you only get, you only take what you need. So in this case, I want events because those Windows event logs come in through that. Prefix data, right. So that is, there's some massaging that you can do around events. As you saw, we emit JSON, which is nested JSON. We like it because it allows us to add a lot of nice kind of encapsulation to the data that we generate. However, a lot of systems out there don't like anything that is not flat. Namely, for example, elastic. So in those cases, you can apply some massaging to it to ensure that it's kind of a nicer format for your system. So prefix data, all that it means is that it'll take the event type of your event, and it'll prefix the JSON, all the JSON object with that. So some systems don't like seeing the same tag at different spots in like same JSON key in different places in the JSON. That allows you to get a unique path into that JSON. Delete on failure. Sometimes you create a basic output that really you're going to drive for an hour and then it's going to like drop and you don't care about it. So real-time view is a lot like that. So you can say, if I enable this, I'm going to be saying, as soon as the output fails, the connection drops, whatever it is, I want you to go and delete that output. Investigation ID, I won't get into it, but allows you to really specify threads of events that you're interested in. The tag is going to say that I only want events from a specific set of boxes that have that given tag. Again, meh. Sensor ID, specify sensor ID, flatten. Take all that JSON and just flatten it into like a single list of key values. So we'll generate new keys that has the path. Again, that's really a lot for Elastic. In our case, GCS. So we want to put the bucket name here. So I'm going to put my bucket name here. I would put my my service key here. So that GCS is Google Cloud Storage, so Google Cloud Service. I can define how long I want that time window of the batches to be. Maybe I'll say 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds, I'm going to cut that file and upload it. Index data, less relevant, that we'll create like summary index files for some stuff. You probably don't want that. Compressed, so yes, I want it to be gzip compressed, lighter on bandwidth. And in our case, that's the big key. I want to say you know what? I don't care about any other events that the WEL events, which if I go back here, you know, you can see like that's the event type we asked for. That's what it is, like event type. So I want WEL event, and then just create. I'm not going to create it. I mean, yeah, like that's a dummy key. I can probably create it. I'm going to get an error, but whatever. So I've created it. The error I'll get is going to be asynchronous, and it's going to show up in platform logs in my errors. If I go have a look, a little red thing will pop up because it's you know, asynchronous, horizontally scalable. So in this case, however, here we go. My output's created. It's good to go. From now, like, you know, from a couple of seconds, it will start trying to upload those batches to that destination. And in this case, you know, it might be an archival thing.